Well, good morning. I am Danielle Glesney, one of your hosts of the Imago Nutrition podcast. And we have this podcast to answer your questions and give practical nutrition strategies to help you and your family flourish. So, if you are wondering how to select a high quality supplement and how do you know if it's working, this is an episode for you. And if you have a question, please go to our website, Imago, IMAGO, nutrition.com/podcast. That's again, Imago, IMAGO, nutrition.com/podcast. And submit your question so we can feature it on an episode. So our question today comes from Emily in Washington. And her question is, how does a consumer pick a high quality supplement when needed? And how do I know if it's working or being absorbed? So thank you, Emily, for this question today that we're going to walk through. We're going to just start with, some quick statistics about supplements because, man, they are everywhere. Any podcast that you might listen to might have commercials for supplements. I just listened to one the other day and I was like, whoa, we're bombarded with information about different supplements available. So some quick statistics from the CDC website is among U.S. adults aged 20 and over, 57.6% use any dietary supplement in the past 30 days. And the use is higher among women, 63.8% than men, which is 50.8%. And then dietary supplement use increases with age, and it's with both genders as well. And again, it's highest among women age 60 and over, about 80.2%. And the use of 2 or 3 or 4 or more dietary supplement increases with age as well. So the most common types of dietary supplements used by all age groups were multivitamin, mineral supplements, followed by vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acid supplements. So that's just a few little fun facts to get this topic started today. So dietary supplements can be defined as products that you take by mouth, such as tablet, capsule, powder, or liquid. They are made to supplement the diet, right? Not to be the main source of nutrition or what have you, whatever the supplement is. And have dietary supplements have one or more dietary ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, herbs, botanicals, amino acids, which is protein, enzymes, tissues from organs or glands, or extracts. So they have one or more of those ingredients, and they're labeled dietary supplements. So those are some definitions. Herbal supplements are sometimes called botanicals and are a type of supplement that contains one or more herbs. One thing you might see on dietary supplements is the word natural. That does not mean safe. And so we'll get into that soon. But I think the reason marketers put that on nutrition labels is it's a comforting word to know it comes from nature. So how could it be harmful? Well, it can for multiple different reasons, but just want to start, just put that as a starting point is natural does not mean safe. So here are a few important things to keep in mind when considering purchasing a supplement. One, the scientific evidence on supplements varies greatly. So there's a lot of information on some supplements and there's very little on other supplements. Supplements you buy from the store or online may differ in important ways from products tested in research studies. So, you'll hear articles or headlines of, this supplement helps with such and such. These research studies are, your proof. Well, those supplements that you buy in the store and online aren't necessarily those ones that were used in those research studies. So that is important to remember, because the change in those supplements can make them not effective, honestly, on what they are claiming to be effective for. Another one is dietary supplements may interact with your medications or any certain medical problems that you have. So always check with your doctor and your pharmacist to see if any supplements that you're considering would impede or cause your medications to be not as effective. Many dietary supplements are not tested in pregnant women, nursing mothers, or children. So if you fall into one of those three categories, just know that there's not going to be a lot of evidence behind those dietary supplements to be effective or safe for you. So for pregnant women, nursing moms, and children. So another one is what's listed on the label of a dietary supplement may not be what's in the product. So this was really eye-opening to me, probably, oh my goodness, 7 years ago, I'm guessing, when I did a presentation to women about dietary supplements, and to learn, that there's many cases where what's in the bottle was not the same as what was on the label. So that's really something to remember, that what's on the label is not always what's in the bottle. From the CDC website, one example they gave was some products marketed for weight loss, sexual enhancement, or bodybuilding may have some prescription drugs that are not allowed in dietary supplements. So sometimes those things are not safe. The rules for manufacturing and distributing dietary supplements are less strict than those for prescription drugs and over-the-counter drugs. So we're going to talk about the role of the FDA in the safety of dietary supplements, but no, just the FDA is not authorized to review dietary supplements for safety and effectiveness before they are marketed. So that's how the point I said just before that is how that's possible, is the FDA does not regulate dietary supplements. However, not just this year, to 2023, the FDA launched a tool. It's a web page called the Dietary Supplement Ingredient Directory. Dietary Supplement Ingredient Directory is a web page where you can look up the ingredients used in products and know what is being, what the FDA has to say about that ingredient, as well as whether the agency has taken actions in regard to that ingredient. So I think this is really amazing. I actually did not know this tool existed until today. But it has a large chart on the website, and it has the ingredient name, other names that the ingredient can go by, and agency actions or statements about this ingredient. So that is just one way to, look and see if the dietary supplement that you're using is safe and possibly an option you want to take. So one thing I like about Emily's question is she put in parentheses there, when needed. So there are times when supplements are needed. And I kind of grouped these times into like 3 different categories. So let's go through those. So 3 different situations where supplements may be needed. One, if there is an identified deficiency. So through lab workup, iron deficiency could come up, or vitamin D deficiency may be found. And in these cases, a supplement is needed for the catch-up. And that does take a lot of time to get enough to not only get in the, just to get to the normal range. So because you're kind of below, obviously. So Does not mean you need to be on this supplement for life, but it could take some time to catch up. So one is the identified deficiency. Two is a situation to support a life stage. So I recommend for anyone over the age of 50 to get an age and gender specific multivitamin because the body has a decreased ability to absorb vitamin B12 in this life stage. So that is just one example. Another example is iron supplementation is often needed for babies as their needs for iron are so high and their intake is so small in this stage. Okay. So iron supplementation may be needed in babies. They're just learning to eat food, and eating high iron sources is a great thing to do to prevent the iron deficiency, but sometimes iron supplementation may still be needed. Vitamin D supplementation is another one that is often needed due to an identified deficiency, but also to support life stage. So, for example, any infant, child, or adolescent not getting 400 IUs of vitamin D per day should be taking a supplement. An example of getting 400 IUs of vitamin D is 4 cups of milk. Obviously, people don't necessarily want to drink 4 cups of milk per day, but that's just one example of how to get the vitamin D. It's very low in our food supply, honestly. So that's another reason that vitamin D deficiency is so prevalent. Supplementation may be needed to support a life stage as needs are greater of specific nutrients at different times in the human life, or a decreased ability to absorb adequate amounts. So sometimes it could be like a major surgery, cutting out portions of your GI tract, and you're not going to be able to absorb certain nutrients, as nutrients are absorbed in different parts of your GI tract. So it could be due to absorption or to a specific high need in that life stage. And the last, there might be more situations, but the last one I identified as another possible need for supplement is when you've tried food first and the adequate intake is just not happening. So food is the best source of all nutrients. So sometimes food preferences, though, can hinder our ability to get adequate amounts. And so for this, I'm just going to give you a couple examples. So, for example, you may be in the process of learning to enjoy many new fruits and vegetables, and your current intake is very limited. So, a high quality multivitamin can be really helpful safety net in the meantime. So, just a short term use of that while you learn to incorporate those fruits and veggies in at higher amounts and more variety. Another one is maybe you prefer to follow a vegetarian or vegan diet. So anytime you restrict a certain food group or food groups, you need to look at all the nutrients that you could be lacking and other food sources of those nutrients. And sometimes that's just not possible to get all the nutrients when you're cutting out a food group or specific foods. So a supplement may be needed in that case as well. So to answer the part of the question of how do I pick a high quality supplement, I'm really glad that part is included in this question as well. So how do you pick a high quality supplement? The FDA has established quality standards for dietary supplements to ensure their identity, purity, strength, and composition. These standards are designed to prevent inclusion of the wrong ingredient, the addition of too much or too little of an ingredient, and the possibility of contamination or improper packaging and labeling. But like we said earlier, the FDA cannot regulate it. The FDA only periodically inspects facilities that manufacture dietary supplements. So therefore, several independent organizations offer quality testing and allow products to, if they pass, they get these seals of approval. So this is a second way of how to determine the quality of your supplement. So these seals of approval provide assurance that the product was manufactured properly, contains the ingredients listed on the label, and does not contain harmful levels of contaminants. Okay. But these labels do not guarantee the product is safe or effective. Okay, so just remember what those labels do. They provide that, again, the product was manufactured properly, contains ingredients listed on the label, and does not contain harmful levels of contaminants. But it does not, the seals of approval does not guarantee that the product is safe or effective. So whether it's safe for you specifically, or effective at what you're choosing the supplement for. So some of these organizations include that offer these quality testings is the U.S. Pharmacopoeia, okay, U.S., and then it's PHARMACOPEIA. Then the other one is consumerlab.com. So that's pretty easy, consumerlab.com. Another one is NSF International, NSF International, and National Products Association. So some of the seals that I see most often are the NSF International or NSP. So looking for those seals of quality testing can be the second way to kind of look and see if you're choosing a high quality supplement. So the second part of the question we'll move into now is, how do you know if it is being absorbed or working? So if we are taking the supplements when needed and not falling into the trap of the hype around supplements. So, listening to that ad and, oh my goodness, that sounds so great. Of course, I want more energy. Yes. So if we're taking supplements based on need and not just, desire or want, that's what we can do through our food choices. Getting quality food choices can improve your energy, and I'm sure a supplement can too, but food is first. So if we're choosing them when they're needed, then we can know if they are working based on repeat lab work. So if your vitamin D status or your iron status is low, it is wise to ask your doctor for repeat lab work to see how well your supplement is working and to see if it is still needed. So again, it takes time. And so sometimes the doctor might say, well, we need to give it a little bit more time before we check again. So that's totally fine, but be active in your care and ask those doctors to just repeat the lab work to see if, you still need that iron supplement or you still need that vitamin D supplement. In the case of supporting a life stage, most often that supplement is needed for the entire life stage. So, one way to know if these are working is just, are we preventing a deficiency? So in babies, taking an iron supplement is to prevent the iron deficiency. Taking a vitamin D supplement is to prevent a vitamin D deficiency. So in this case, for babies, it's probably just wise, to take it when needed. And then when that life stage is passed, such as they're eating high iron rich foods, we may not need them anymore. So it most often is apparent for like babies, and sometimes also repeating those lab tests for children, like if they have an iron deficiency, getting that retested to see if you're done with that iron supplement. Because again, it takes time and depends on the person, how well they're absorbing the iron in their diet and in the supplement. So the case of supporting the life stage, it's really just, are we preventing a deficiency? And again, asking your doctor for routine lab checks. And then if you're following like a vegan diet, for example, some of those, supplements such as vitamin B12 will be needed while you're on the diet. There's just not enough sources of vitamin B12 in a vegan diet, for example. So that's one example. Or again, if you're now eating more fruits and veggies, you can maybe not need that safety net of that multivitamin anymore. In the case of, food first, always. So to answer, the question, is it working? Really repeat lab work, be active in your care, talk to your doctor. And then, is it preventing a deficiency? Is it working? Is it helping with what you chose the supplement for? And again, if you're choosing a supplement based on energy or something more non-measurable, it's going to be really hard to know if it's working, because there's that placebo effect. And, so it's better to choose supplements like we talked about when they're needed. And then you will also know if they're working or being absorbed well. So hopefully that answers your question and was helpful to others listening today. I do have just a couple more points before we leave of things to keep in mind. Again, I'm just going to say food first. That is super important to always remember. Food is first. And then second is taking too much of something can interfere with the absorption of other nutrients. We didn't dive into this too much, but just know that, if you're taking a lot of something, it can interfere with the absorption of something else that you need. So for example, iron and calcium compete for absorption. So if you have tons of calcium sources in your diet, you could, end up having a little bit low iron intake. Or absorption. So don't choose supplements to solely boost your intake. Can actually do more harm than good. Vitamin C supplements, for example, those are water soluble. So it's really hard to overdose on water soluble vitamins, but don't try. I'm not, challenging you. The fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K, those are a lot easier to overdose on, but the water soluble, not as much. But still, I think, I've read about how, taking a lot of vitamin C, you're mainly just peeing it out and wasting your money because you can only absorb so much at one time, but it actually can sometimes increase risk of kidney stones. So just think about, there's other things that could, cause harm if we're just trying to boost our intake. So that's not a good reason to choose a supplement. Supplements are not, another point to remember, supplements are not regulated by the FDA. So look for those third-party seals for quality. Check out that website that I mentioned to look at that chart. If you find a, ingredient that's unfamiliar to you, then you can see what is said, what that ingredient is. And then also talk to your pharmacist and doctor to make sure you're choosing something that's not going to interfere with your medications or health status. So if supplements are not regulated, talk to your doctor and pharmacist and make sure they are not interfering with your medications or health status. And, just lastly, be active in talking with your doctor to see if those supplements are working. There's doctors are constantly getting new, up-to-date research information too. And so, for example, I remember when my doctor, recommended omega-3 fatty acid supplements for heart health. And then he said, I don't think you need those anymore because of what the research is telling us about how effective they are. Again, food is more effective. Now, not all doctors might say that. Some doctors might still be in support of omega-3 fatty acid supplements. And if that's the case, you can also say, well, let's see those cholesterol levels and see, is that me taking this omega-3 fatty acid helping? So being active in your care. So if you would like help in knowing if you need a supplement, please reach out to us. I would love to look at, your current diet intake and determine if any nutrients may be lacking and see how you can get these nutrients through food first. And if not, what supplements could help. So I'd love to dive into that with you. And again, thank you for this question, Emily. And if you have a question, please go to our website, imagonutrition.com. .com/podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe so you don't miss any podcast episodes, or leave us a review. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Imago Nutrition, IMAGO Nutrition. And with that, I hope you have a great day. And we just want to thank Happy Pill for our theme song, Thinking About Food. Talk to you later.